Live at the Tumbleweed Dance Hall, this is the Guitars, Cowboys, and Hillbilly Music Podcast. You're here today with Red Arnold and Jagger Pfeiffer.
And this week we have a very special guest. Please welcome an artist who performs with a style that is truly her own and no stranger to the music industry. Her passion for singing and songwriting since a young age has garnered her a reputation of being a notable songwriter with an iconic-sounding, impeccably strong voice that accents her unique sound. From Nashville, Tennessee, please welcome ALLIE COLLEEN.
That's very sweet. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. It's a good day.
It is. It's a beautiful day. This is one of the few weeks in Oklahoma that we get that isn't burning hot
Right.
or extremely cold.
We get everything 2 days after y'all do.
Yeah.
So I know that we're headed home to some good-ass weather,
Yeah.
so I'm pretty stoked about
So
it.
Yeah.
where is home for you?
I live in Nashville.
Nashville? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I moved up there in 2014 to go to college from here, from Tulsa, and just kind of stayed. So
Yeah.
I graduated in 18, and I've just been kicking it in Nashville.
I read a little bit of your biography. It says you're originally from Owasso, right?
Mhm.
So that's pretty cool. We were talking about before the podcast. Owasso is just like maybe an hour away from where we're both from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's very cool. I always say when you're in Nashville, you know, it's Oklahoma is always a good place to be from.
Yeah.
We don't go back and visit a whole lot, but it's a great place to be from.
Yeah.
But no, I love Oklahoma, and it's funny. Nashville, it's like people ask the silliest questions about it. You know, they just don't know anything about Oklahoma or what we do. I don't think we do either, but it has been very cool, you know, living there, having grown up here.
Yeah, for sure. So what was it like when you first got to Nashville, growing up in Oklahoma? I know like Nashville's obviously way bigger than Tulsa is. But Tulsa really isn't small by any means.
Right.
But I'm sure you probably have been around some smaller towns in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I graduated from Owasso, but I spent most of my time with Collinsville kids. And then I spent a lot of time with some Foyle kids. And I mean, that's like a 30-person graduation class. So I enjoyed all that. I mean, Nashville, it's interesting as a music kid, right? Because here I was the weird music kid in my town. You know, I was that one kid at Owasso High School that was like, I'm going to sing for the rest of my life, you guys. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to move to Nashville. I'm going to be a country star and all that stuff. And no one else was really, you know, had their sights on that kind of stuff. But then you come to Nashville and you go to Belmont University, where I went, and then you were at a campus full of like the little weird music kids from their town. You know what I mean? So that was really, really cool, was coming to Nashville and being met by such a big city and all these new changes. But everybody there just felt like me. They just felt like they just came to town to figure it out. And it was very cool. Nashville is a huge, tiny ass little town.
It's a kind of a weird thing to say, but it really makes sense.
It is. Everybody knows each other. And, you know, we're all kind of there trying to do the same thing. We're all championing each other. So it was very cool. But it was very different, to say the least. I mean, just being around kids that were just raised so differently than I did and in different parts of the country. And, like, so much so my best friend from Belmont and just my best friend is from Vermont. And, like, they learned, like, the Civil War different than we did. You know what I mean? And, like, we're all in the same country. So, like, that was really interesting, too, just to meet different kinds of people.
Huh, that's really cool.
So out in Nashville, you put in your fair amount of bar playing time, right? So you said, I saw somewhere like 5 years almost. You played at the same...
Yeah. So I had to deal with especially my parents, just because I've known I've wanted to do this since I was a baby. And so I kind of chose Belmont in 8th grade. I didn't really look anywhere else. And so all that to say, you know, they were kind of like, hey, like it's very important to us that you get your degree. I mean, we're sending you off to an education, and that's very important to us. So I don't think they knew I was going to get a degree in songwriting. I think that was a nice little loophole that I found. And they were like, all right, well, she did it, so we can't be mad at her. But all that to say, I really took my 4 years very seriously. And then the year after that we just traveled before we put out music. So for 5 years, I played at this really cool little bar called Scoreboard that I just loved and still go back to all the time, just like as just someone who loves Scoreboard. But I did the whole Broadway thing for a long time too, and all that kind of stuff in Nashville. So all the bars. So
how does a degree in songwriting work? What does that exactly consist of?
Right. I mean, I should know. I should be able to answer this question for you. I really should. So Belmont University is really known for their music business program. And so essentially they just took that program and then made it exclusive to, you know, maybe 25 or so students at a time. And then they just added writing classes to that program. So my degree is in songwriting and a minor in music business, but essentially it's mainly the music business program. And then you got to do cool things like lyric writing, where all your assignments were just write something, you know what I mean? And write something that you would have wrote differently than before, you know, and like gave you all these challenges as to how to land on your song and your hook. So it was just different, but it was very fun and it was very cool. Has anybody asked to see my diploma since? Not one time, you know, not once, but it was a cool way to spend those years and to grow and everything.
So as a songwriter and musician in college, I think a lot of our listeners even people that we've interviewed on our show, because last week had a guy from Stillwater that goes to school with us, but he's an up-and-coming songwriter, musician. His name's Reagan Carter.
That's a cool country name.
Yeah,
that's a cool name.
So what advice would you give to like maybe some of our listeners that are trying to perform like around Stillwater, because Stillwater is like the origin of red dirt music.
Yeah.
So I think there can be like some kind of parity between like Nashville and then like that music,
right,
and like the red dirt scene here in Stillwater. What advice would you give to like a musician that's going to school and balancing school life and music?
I mean, balancing all that, you know, you'll find your way to do it and you'll find your way to figure it out. I think it just, a lot of things end up at the end of the day is like, what's your priority? You know what I mean? Because like, if you're out there doing music and you care about it and you want to do this for a long, long time, right? And maybe you're getting an agricultural degree, you know, or a marketing degree or something, like it's all gonna work. I think the biggest thing for me is that when you do this professionally and you want to do it for a very long time as a career, you have to settle into the business side. You know what I mean? It's not all, you don't just get to go and write music and play music and do music for the rest of your life. You know, you really have to settle in to that business side. So to be honest, I think there's a huge perk in having that luxury of doing music as a career, you know, like on not even your weekends, but just like in your bars, how you would do it as a performer, and then really spend your time in school focusing on like that marketing side and that advertising side and all those sides. Because again, like you are going to run a business one day and you are going to be the face of it. And like, you're going to have to know how to do that. So I think one of the biggest pieces of advice that's been helpful to me is like, yes, this stuff is magic and it's cool, you know, and it's definitely a cooler job than a lot of my friends have. But with that said, like it's a business. And if you can't keep it alive as a business, that's really hard. And that's something that's really hard to do with a dream. You know what I mean? Like with a hobby. So I just think just be really intentional, you know, from the get-go on what you're doing and how you're doing it. And there isn't a wrong way to do it with that said. So just, I don't know.
I think that's something that I've definitely noticed, like having all these musicians on, we've got to talk to them. It's like, especially the more local people, it's like, this is like a full-time thing. Like, I'm not just, I'm like playing 2 hours at Bad Brad's on Friday night, but it's like a full-time thing. Like, I'm promoting myself. I'm trying to get myself in the door in all these places. And
it's a full-time thing. And you know, when I meet my friends that are pushing products, like if that's their job, right? Say they got the newest freaking Colgate on the planet, right? Or whatever their product is. I don't see them often shifting their product to fit a market that hasn't worked. You know, I find them going and finding new markets and going and doing that. I would really encourage artists to do the same thing. It's like, don't work really hard to change yourself and to find an audience that, like, don't make yourself for the audience, I guess is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Because Stillwater is amazing. It's rad. It's cool. It's a tiny little place on this earth. You know what I mean? So like if your music is not being received here and you love it and you care about it, find somewhere where your music is received. Also, take a hint, right? Maybe clean something up, maybe fix something, maybe do something if you're just having a hard time really creating a fan base. But I think that's a biggest thing with artists. I see all these artists who are changing themselves to really please everybody who's listening, right? And that makes sense. But I don't meet a lot of people that come to you with like a straight up business and they're willing to change their product for you when you're not in love with it. You know what I mean? So also remember that. Remember your flexibility as a project, and also remember like your importance as a project. Like, I just think it's cool, and I think it's really cool to go and take your music elsewhere, maybe if it isn't doing its thing here, because there's hundreds and thousands of bars obviously in Nashville, and I can kill it at one and I'll get tomatoes thrown at me in another one. You know what I mean? And it's just, I think there is a really big beauty to, and just like owning your craft and owning who you are and going and finding who appreciates that. I think that's something that artists could do more, honestly, because you sound like you sound for a reason.
Yeah. And I think that could even be like, that's a analogy also to just like the entire country as well, because one thing we've talked about a couple of times is just the difference in music scenes. Like obviously Oklahoma, Texas, huge red dirt music scene. all kinds of great artists here. But we've also talked to a band called Shadowgrass. They're from North Carolina, and they're bluegrass, obviously.
Yeah.
And so there's different kinds of like, and this kind of goes down to like genre breakdown as well. So like there's like country, and then there's like a lot of subgenres as well,
Yeah.
like red dirt, bluegrass, and like what is it out there like in like Wyoming and like stuff like that. There's all kinds of different markets for all different kinds of country music.
All kinds of different stuff where, you know, people think it looks one type of way or it doesn't, or it sounds one type of way or it doesn't, and all of those kinds of things. And again, there is such a huge opportunity, maybe, also responsibility in taking feedback from your audience. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to play at the Weeds here at Stillwater, at Tumbleweeds, you know, it's like, and that's where you want to play and that's where you've been booked, then yeah, obviously you have to cater to that audience. But all that to say, it's like, this isn't the only place that's going to listen to your music. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially like in our world of streaming, like you could have the largest following in Argentina on the planet and no one comes to your shows here in Stillwater. You know what I mean? Like it's just, there's a very big world, all that to say, like with music. And I think it's very easy for artists to pigeonhole themselves in the county that they grew up in, you know what I mean? Where they should have a hometown crowd or any of that stuff. And sometimes you just go make your own hometown crowd somewhere.
Yeah. But if you're going to play in Texas, you better have a fiddle in the band.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fiddle, do you play any other instruments besides guitar?
Mm-mm.
Okay, just
Nope.
guitar?
I just play guitar.
When did you pick that up?
I started playing guitar when I was like 14,
Okay.
maybe like 14 or 15, because I wrote songs since I was a kid, since I was little, but it wasn't really until I picked up a guitar and like could play you a song like start to finish that I was like, I can show people my music now, right? Opposed to being a kid who's like, listen, I can sing, and then I just trap you for 3 minutes while you listen to my lyrics. So I think guitar was a really big thing that brought the songwriting thing together for me. But it's also very hard for me. Like, I don't know why. That doesn't come naturally for me. Or anything like that. So I never really grew past guitar. I'm still working on just the guitar part, you know.
I think everybody who's ever played a guitar is still working on that part.
It's tough, and it's very cool, and it's very fun. And I mean, the show tonight, I mean, my guitar is tracked for almost the whole thing. So I'll say, like, all the stuff's already been played, do whatever. I don't even wear it for half the show. And I just get to run around and sing. But
So-
that whole fiddle thing, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Do you have like a guitar collection, or are you just like one or two guitar?
I just
type
have
of
one or
person?
I'm kind of a one or two
Okay.
person. I feel very overwhelmed then with how much time you spend with each of them, right?
Mhm.
What if one's talking shit about me to all the other ones?
You can't have it's like
No,
kids. You can't
yeah,
have a favorite.
Exactly.
Or anything.
No. So you got your two, you know, and I do like one of them more than the other. I really do. I would never tell them that, but I do. I'm just a couple person guitar thing. I've got a lot of friends who've got like 30, 40 guitars, and I'm just like, how do you even clean them all? To be honest, that's a lot.
Who were some of your early influences in music?
I have two older sisters, and we're all really close in age, but we're all 2 years apart. So all that to say, I always loved their music, and my parents' music obviously were the first two things that were kind of thrown at me. So I think with my parents, like just your typical, you know, kind of stuff, like everything from Randy Travis to Queen to Kansas to James Taylor were really big influences for me as a kid. And then my mama loved all the women, so like just Jody Messina I think was a really big one for me, as well as the Chicks and that kind of thing. I was a huge alternative kid growing up, and like still am. And so I love like Amy Lee and Evanescence and like Paramore and Hayley Williams and that kind of stuff. Like when I finally got to click in on music, I think that's what I chose to listen to, was a lot of alternative stuff and 3 Days Grace and that kind of stuff and Nickelback, and that's the kind of stuff that I love.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I've got a very important question to ask you about Nickelback. So we have this kind of inside joke / question that we always debate, and I have a theory that I think Nickelback could very easily be a country band if you just put some different guitar behind it.
Yeah.
I think Nickelback is just kind of a southern rock country band.
I don't think that that's not true, but also I don't think that there's a song in that genre. I don't think that there's like an artist in that genre where if you didn't change the instrumentation a little bit, they would be a country band.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
what does that even
absolutely.
mean? Like, if you threw a big upright in there, all of a sudden they're like a bluegrass blues band. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I do think of that genre, though, Nickelback has more of those lyrics that you don't have to twist your arm to think about. which is very country, right? Like we
Yeah.
like things to just be told to us and like, yep, that's how I feel. Thank you. That's what I needed. You know, whereas like maybe Breaking Benjamin or something, you got to dig a little more to figure out what they're talking about. Nickelback is pretty clear.
This got brought up because we were talking about the new Rolling Stones cover album that just came out. What was it called?
Stone Cold Country, I think.
And we were saying there should be a Nickelback version of
Yeah.
that. I think that would be great.
Dude, I don't know how you guys feel about Nickelback. I don't understand why our country has this whole thing with Nickelback.
I don't understand.
There's so
it
many
either.
worse bands that did really, really well that people could shit on all day long. I love Nickelback.
I do too.
I
Yeah.
love Nickelback
Yeah.
so much.
I
I
do
got
too.
to see him with Shinedown and Breaking Benjamin in 8th grade at VOK.
That's-
and it was
that's
like
a
one
good
of my
concert right
favorite
there.
concerts on the planet. My first concert was Papa Roach at Cane's. Like, so good. Like, just
That's
good
awesome.
stuff.
I-
I don't know why everyone's always mad at Nickelback. I think they're great.
I'm a big Shinedown fan too.
Okay.
I love Shinedown as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I loved it. Nickelback, obviously.
Jagger keeps us branched out when it comes to.
Good.
I have the very like traditional country
Yeah.
views,
Yeah.
and he's got the.
Yeah,
He
I've
branches us out.
I've got a little bit of
Yeah.
extra flair in there too. I add. But by the way, at the end, we always do a playlist that we put together with the artists that we have on. So we'll have you pick 3 songs. It doesn't have to be your favorite 3. It just has to be a 3 that you want to put on. You can put on anything you want.
Sweet.
And then we'll put on 3. We'll post it on Spotify, Apple
That would be
Music.
sick. That would be sick.
Speaking of Spotify and Apple Music, are you which one do you roll with?
As like a
Spotify?
user?
Yes.
I use Spotify.
Let's go.
Yeah, I use Spotify. I like the radio. I like
Yeah.
that you can go to any artist radio
Yep.
ever, and like Apple doesn't have that. I feel like Apple makes me work a little harder to find music.
That's another
Listen.
one of mine.
Yeah.
I'm a Spotify user. He's an Apple Music user. So
I'm pretty sure
fight
we
over
chose
it.
the wrong answer though, as far as the business side. Like I think that Spotify shortens the songwriters a little bit.
That's what we've
I
been
think
told.
on royalties and stuff like that.
yeah,
So our
that's what
answer
we've been told,
should be Apple or something that really makes sure that the creators are getting paid what they're paid. But
Yeah.
again, just user friendly as a user, and what I prefer, Spotify all day long.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
one thing I do like about there's 2 things, I guess. The fact that you have your podcast all in one space,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can also the playlists on Spotify, the user-made playlists are
Yeah.
so much better.
Yeah, they're really good.
I don't know if you guys know this, but as someone who like also puts out music, like I can see every playlist that my songs have ever landed on, like including like your guys' personal ones. Like
okay.
like the artist can see that. So it's like it means so much to me to like go through like, right, say I put out a love song and I look and you put it on like your sad bitch playlist. Like I get to see that, and I think it's the coolest thing on the planet.
That's
right?
pretty
And like
cool.
not the ones made for like a bunch of other people to follow or listen to. Like just
Yeah.
your little personal, like your little vibe moves on Wednesday. I can see you added my song to that. And I'm like, yeah, you vibe out on a Wednesday. That's amazing.
Didn't someone else tell us that?
Yes.
So if you ever name anything really wonky or quirky, just know like they've probably looked at it.
I think it was Trio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because we interviewed Trio Revival as well, and
I think they told us about
yeah.
Apple Music being
Yeah.
better as
Yeah,
far
they-
as payout wise
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah, that's always been a big thing with just again people that put out music. We're like, we know what we should use, but we know what we use.
exactly.
Yeah.
are you on TikTok? Are you big on TikTok? Or?
Mhm.
Okay.
I love TikTok. I love it for the lives. Like
Okay.
like I use TikTok Live a lot, but I don't do a very good job like posting a lot because I feel like I'm just gonna post the same thing as I'm gonna post as a reel,
Yeah.
you know, on Instagram. So TikTok's been a beast. I mean, it always has been and it will be. But
Yeah.
TikTok's a beast for sure.
So, speaking of Spotify and Apple Music, if you had an all-time, the yearly rewinds.
Mhm.
So if you had a rewind for your life, what would your top 5 artists be?
My top 5 artists would be, definitely probably be Miley Cyrus, in all of her many forms.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, because if we're gonna do an over life thing, you also have to over life the artist too. So anyone who's been anything
Yeah.
also wonky. So like Taylor Swift's obviously on there,
Yeah.
for me, and then probably going back to like Keith Whitley, and then Alison Krauss, and Cody Johnson, would probably be like my 5 that I just keep going back to and finding things about.
Yeah.
I think that's mine. I feel like that's my answer without thinking about it too much. If I thought about it too much, I'd always have a different answer for you. Michael Jackson would be on there though.
That's a solid artist list right there.
That's the first time I think it's the first time we've brought up Michael Jackson on the podcast.
I think it is too.
He's the best.
Yeah.
He's the best by far. My mom had 2 DVD sets growing up, and one was like the Michael Jackson music video like DVD set, and then one was Cher. And those are the 2 that we would watch constantly. And I just think Michael is one of the greatest things on the planet.
I don't think anybody's ever gonna beat his music videos either.
No. There's just no way. There's just too much. There's too much creativity, honestly, I feel like going on there. Like I don't know anything about him, but I just feel like you didn't disagree. I feel like if you walked in there and he was like, "This is what the video is going to be," they were like, "Let's do it. Let's get started on it." And I love that. I think that's so cool.
So you mentioned Keith Whitley. What are some of your favorite Keith Whitley songs?
I've always been such a like Stranger to the Rain
Okay.
kid. I think it's so good. I have played When You Say Nothing at All was one of the first 2 songs I learned on guitar. I learned that in Traveling Soldier. So it's my favorite. But that one's always kind of been an Alison Krauss song for me, When You Say Nothing at All. That's always kind of been an Allison thing. But I love No Stranger to the Rain. I'm a big, 10 Feet Away person. But I don't think anything beats Don't Close Your Eyes. Like, I don't think it could if it tried. That's just a sad song. That's a sad song right there.
What about Dwight Yoakam? You listening to Dwight Yoakam?
Not a lot.
Okay.
Not like out of like the 2 like staple Dwight Yoakam songs that everybody else knows. No.
Okay.
It wasn't really something I listened to a lot.
Peep our podcast name. It's the play on the guitars Cadillacs.
I like it though. I like it though. No, we all have our stuff, and I think that's wild too. Like you can be a kid of country and not at all like eating the same stuff. Like
Right.
that's such a wild thing to me. And like what you guys were talking about earlier, like the more genre driven, and then like we grew up on playlists. Like we were playlist kids.
Yep. Right.
You know, and like even learning that like you didn't have to listen to the whole CD. Like we're singles kids and playlist kids. So.
leave that in.
You know what won't make you fall over? Bad Brad's barbecue.
Yeah, it might be so good you just fall out your chair.
It's a fall out your chair barbecue, man. You know they make their own barbecue sauce in house.
I did know that, but it's because I'm an avid supporter of Bad Brad's.
Exactly. They have regular and spicy barbecue sauce.
I still stick behind my statement. The way that you dispense the barbecue sauce at Bad Brad's makes all the difference.
Explain.
It's in a cow udder, essentially. So you have to milk the barbecue sauce out of the udder.
I mean,
creativity.
It's nature's nectar. Like,
essentially it is, yeah.
yeah.
Let me tell you something. Jagger always brings up the dirty fries, and you guys probably think, oh, he just says the dirty fries. No. The dirty fries.
They're the dirtiest of fries.
For a good reason.
Yes.
They're delicious. Get the dirty fries with some chopped brisket. Boom.
I think I'm gonna go get some
You're good to go.
brisket, dirty fries right after this. Actually,
We are heading there after this. So.
Know why? Because you need to go to Bad Brad's too. I mean,
You do.
we go there. Why shouldn't you?
You should.
I mean, we're basically celebrities at this point. So eat where your favorite celebrities go to eat. That simple.
That's right. If you see us in there, we might even let you take a picture with us.
You know, if you're lucky. Now, if I'm in a bad mood, you just walk away.
Stay away from him if he's in a bad mood. No, but Bad Brad's, it really is delicious. That's really all you can say about it. I mean, they've got tons of options, from the appetizers to tons of different varieties of meats you can get, side options. They got combo platters. They've got it all. And they do catering. So if you're looking for
They
someone to
have
cater
tacos.
your events, they do have tacos.
They even have tacos.
And the brisket tacos are good. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Bad Brad's, check them out. And find Vernon in there. Like I always say, ask him a question about whiskey,
Yeah.
and you'll know it when you're done.
Yeah.
He's very knowledgeable and all that stuff, and he's always coming up with some new concoctions or their smoker boxes, all that stuff.
They even have like weekly events. This new songwriter circle.
On Thursday nights.
Every Thursday night, they got weekly artists that go and perform there. You can just sit. The cool thing about the songwriter circle is they just sit there. They're just picking on the guitars. It's just some of your local artists, a lot of whom have even came on our podcast. Will sit there and pick guitars, and they'll be writing songs. They may play a couple songs for you, and you get to eat delicious barbecue. I mean, how much better does it get?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. And we're going to be stay on the lookout for this because we're going to be eating some Bad Brad's on the podcast very soon. We've got a very cool guest coming on, and they want to eat some Bad Brad's. So what do? Vernon's going to hook it up, and we're going to eat some Bad Brad's.
Because if you know us, we like to stuff our face with some Bad Brad's barbecue and tell you about it.
Absolutely. I need the Bad Brad's cup right here.
Right here.
Bad Brad's.
Where
it's good to be bad.
We almost had it.
Do you need a new top-of-the-line bow fishing bow, Jagger?
Of course I do.
Of course you do. You can own the waters this summer with the Deadwake Archery Innovations Leviathan. Okay?
Leviathan?
The fully machined bow fishing machine.
Ooh.
You hear that? Manufactured to order right here, not in China.
You'll become a machine.
This is not part of the ad read, but just I want to let you know it's not made in China.
Yeah.
It's made right here in the United States, in Oklahoma. Yeah. Trevor makes all the stuff, and it's great. Handmade stuff. They make their own parts. It's not like they're buying parts and putting these things together. I had a couple people ask me, they're like, well, I can buy the parts and make my own bow.
No, you can't.
Okay, do it.
Yeah.
Go do it.
I'd like to see you try.
That's what people, they're like, why would I buy?
I'm an engineering student at Oklahoma State right now, and no, you can't. No, you can't. Trevor's going to do it for you, and you're going to like it.
You know, there's so much more that people don't realize goes into it that Trevor was telling me about, like the angles and the tension and all this stuff that,
yeah, of course.
I mean, let the fellows at Deadwake Archery Innovations do it for you. You're going to get premium quality, and that's what we're about here.
And I'll even tell you, like, if you're a fan of well-engineered stuff that has been well thought out, that bow is for you. Like seriously, like that thing has been thought through well and designed, redesigned, and upgraded for 5+ years. Great designs, and the manufacturing quality is next to none.
It's because you have, he's put so much work and engineering into it, designing it himself, and he's put in all the hours that it takes.
Exactly.
And now they've got a premium quality product that you should go get.
Exactly. And he's even doing some anodizing stuff. He's getting some color in there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
looks great.
And it looks really
fantastic.
good. Yeah. I really want to get one this summer because I want to go bow fishing. I've never really been.
Yeah, I've been.
But when we go,
tough.
we're going to do an episode with him where we go bow fishing.
Yes.
I want to have my own Leviathan.
I want that Leviathan in my hands when I pull back that string.
So I'm super excited. I think I'm going to get one. And you know what color I'm going to have to get?
Orange.
Guitars, Cowboys, Hillbilly Music.
Perfect.
Check them out. They'll be linked in the description. Deadwake Archery Innovations.
So this actually brings up. I have two questions. So, I noticed you released a lot of singles.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you like that format rather than doing a full album release, or would you rather do full albums?
I would much rather do the album release. It just comes down to money. It just comes down to what you're able to, because you don't make anything off of it. You know what I mean? For the most part, like unless your streams are millions and millions and millions, like that's just, you're not making any money off it, right? So your statutory rate for a stream is like 0.009 cents. So that's how much you might get for a stream. So all that to say, it's like it's very difficult to put the money into the albums.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When you're making so little back, and then also to choose something of that album to promote and nothing else gets promoted, that's really tough too. And I think too, just as consumers, like that is what has done best for the artist.
Yeah.
You know, if like, because if anybody, pick anybody, but if Cody Johnson releases a single tonight and I already know I'm going to go listen to it, and then he drops one 24 hours after that, I'm going to go listen to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas like Cody puts out a double album and then he puts out a single, and then I know in 8 weeks there's going to be another single, but I'm still stuck on the album. You know what I mean? Like it's just tough. So like that has been what's been most encouraging by listeners, is to release singles. Yeah. But I dream about the second album. We've already got all the songs. It's just a matter of paying for it.
Mm-hmm. So your current single, Honest Man, came out February 10th. You want to tell us a little bit about that? We
put out Honest Man for Valentine's Day because it's just how like I as a woman would ask a man to marry me. It's kind of the whole point of the song. I'm a big advocate for like women going and getting what they want. I think that's the coolest thing on the planet. I also don't think it's a huge idea. I think it should be very simple. Like just go get what you want. I'm also a huge advocate for men just being pursued. I feel like that isn't a narrative enough that you guys have, is just being chased and like being pursued, and like from anything, right? From being asked out on the playground to prom to marriage, like everything always falls on you guys always. And it's very cool as a woman to receive, but it's also really cool as a woman to just go get what you want. And I think it's also very cool to be something that somebody wanted, you know what I mean? And they went and got it. So all that to say, I was missing that narrative. I was just missing that conversation of what it looks like for a woman to just go and ask a man to marry her, and her not be wild, right, or crazy or rambunctious, and him not be a slacker or insecure or whatever. Like, none of those narratives, just two people going and getting what they wanted. So that's kind of all the Honest Man is about, is just how I would ask a man to marry me as a woman. And we made sure that we had two dudes in the co-write to just sit there and be like, do you guys still feel masculine? Do you still feel big and strong? And would you say yes? And they're like, we'd say yeah. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go. So big fans of Honest Man.
Who are some of the people you've got to meet that you thought were cool along the way? I saw you done some stuff with Lee Bryce and Jared Neiman.
Lee Bryce and Jared Neiman were producers on some of the tracks we've done. So a song called Halos and Horns and Feels Like that we've put out. Jared and Lee were huge parts of that. And again, just there's something really, really special about being the least talented person in the room. Like, there's something so special about it. Like, that person is the only person out of everyone who's obviously expected to learn, but also has a lot to learn. You know what I mean? Like, when you're the most talented person in a room, it's very cool, but not like a lot of growth happens out of that.
Yeah.
So we work really, really hard to continue to place me in rooms with just people that I get to learn from. And so that's been very cool. So you mentioned Lee and Jared, and they're amazing men, amazing role models, really amazing technically, like with their ears and what they hear. And that's been amazing. We mentioned Jody Messina, who we got to play a festival with her, and it was right around my birthday. So she was super, super sweet. And between my manager, Bev, and Jody, they set up this whole really cool thing where I got to go and sing with Jody on my birthday. So I got to sing with her, and we did this whole big concert thing. And then I got to play the next night at that same festival, which was very cool. And she was somebody who had, you know, it's kind of scary to meet your hero sometimes. And she was everything, you know, that I wanted her to be.
Yeah.
She was very sweet. Cody Johnson's been really, really nice. I don't have anything bad to say about anybody who I've came across. Everyone's been very, very kind.
Yeah.
To me. But huge supporting fan of Lee Bryce and Jared Neiman. I think that they have a lot to give to younger artists, and they're willing to do that. So that's been very cool.
So I was listening to I've been listening to a lot of your music. So
Thank you.
And I'm a big guy on lyrics.
On Spotify, though, so it doesn't count.
Hey, they pay their artists, just not always their songwriters.
So, and I love like just reading through lyrics. Sometimes I'll just like stop a song and go back and just read through it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading through "Ain't the Only Hell My Mama Raised."
Yes.
Love the song, by the way.
Thank you.
And you mentioned going back in time to the Tumbleweed on Friday night. What does it feel like to be playing the Tumbleweed on Friday night?
This is a moment I've literally waited on forever. So my parents met here when I was a kid. My dad was a bouncer, and my mom was just being my mom. So obviously she got thrown out. And that's how they met. And, like, how rad. Like, how cool. And then my mom's been just such, like, a friend of mine my whole life, too. So just to get to come here, like, where she used to just do her thing, I think is the wildest thing also. I graduated when I was 17 and moved to Nashville. So, like, I'd never been in here until today. You know, like, I wasn't allowed. I wasn't old enough. So I could never get into tumbleweeds. I'd never seen it before. I'd stood outside before, but I'd never been in. And so to get to come here today and, like, to pull up in the parking lot and, like, load out and, like, know that we get to play here tonight, like, it's just freaking rad. Like, it's the coolest thing on the planet. I was having this conversation with one of our hands today, and I was talking to him, and I was like, I know tonight they're going to think that this is a song that we always play and we just scream out the venue on Friday night or whatever, but I want them to know so badly that, like, this is what this whole moment is for, is playing Tumbleweeds on Friday night. It's not like we're playing Billy Bob's and we just fit it in there instead. It's like we wrote it this way. So that's always been a big dream, is to play it here and then also to play at Cavalcade. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cavalcade or not, but that's in there too. It's Little Kings at Cavalcade, and just like a whole verse about what my mom used to do when she was a kid and like the stuff that she got in trouble for. And most of it was tumbleweeds. So stoked to be here and to get to have that stage moment tonight where I get to scream it out and do my little thing, and it's pretty rad.
Yeah.
It's very rad.
I was, whenever I heard that lyric, I'm like, that's awesome.
Yes, I'm so glad you knew.
Tumbleweed on Friday night, I was like, that's perfect.
Yeah, no, people are going to think all night that I just replaced something with something, but I'm like, we couldn't have painted this better. This is it. We're at Tumbleweeds on Friday night, you guys. So I'm very excited.
So if you could make an album, if you could cover one artist, any of their songs, but put together like a 10 or 12 song album, who would that be? Not just country, anything.
It's a really good question. Dang. It would probably be Can you imagine just a full alternative album of old Taylor Swift songs?
Oh.
I would lose my mind. Like if I just got to, you don't even have to give me a pick. I'll just take the Red album. I don't get to pick anything else. I will redo the Red album as a pop punk album. Are you joking? That would be the coolest thing on the planet.
That's awesome.
That would be so sick. I mean, she has, like, Rustin Kelly's done All Too Well and, you know, made it a little spooky. And I feel like ever since that moment, I'm like, where are the rest of these songs done a little spooky? Like, oh, that would be so cool. So, yeah.
I've heard, like, there's, like, some metal versions of, like, just pop songs
Yeah.
out there. And some of them, like, wow, this is, like, completely different.
The drums go so hard
Yeah.
and they make it so cool. No, I think it's the coolest thing. I really do. I think it's very cool. So I don't know. I think something like that would be awesome. I think a Michael Jackson cover album would be sick. But we have a lot of albums out there in the world that we would love to do. I would love to do like a Disney cover album. I think that would be the sickest thing on the planet. Just do a bunch of Disney songs. Like, it'd be so cool.
So do you have any new music coming out here pretty soon?
Yeah, we've got a song coming out in May, on May 19th. And it's our first like pop release. And it's just because I got together with a producer friend of mine. I'd already wrote the song with co-writer friends of mine, and it's called Tattoos. And it's a very, again, just going back to men being pursued. I just wanted a song where you guys were meat for 3 minutes. So that's what I did. So I wrote a song about you guys being meat for 3 minutes. And I think it's awesome. And it's called Tattoos. And that comes out May 19th. And I got together with a producer friend of mine, and his name's Dom. And so we'll release it like prod by Dom and ALLIE COLLEEN, so that it's not all my fault, but it's our first like explicit like pop release.
Yeah.
So very excited about that, and that'll kind of be our song for summer that we're really pushing, that we've been pushing for just a little while now. So really excited about that. It's in the set tonight. So we'll see how it goes.
That's awesome.
And when does that come out?
May 19th.
May 19th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll have all of that information in the description too. So
Sweet.
all your links, everything will be down
Sweet.
there. Did you have time to think about your 3 songs?
They're my 3 songs that I would do what with?
It's just 3 songs that
My
you've
3
been
songs
enjoying
that I want to
recently.
add, that
Yeah.
I've been enjoying recently, that I
Yeah.
want to add to like
Yes.
as a listener, right? That
Yes.
I've been listening.
Any genre.
Okay. Yeah, I love, I think it's called Live and Love More by Kat Burns.
Okay.
I think that's the thing. These are going to be so different from each other. I can't wait for you guys to listen to them all together. Cute Girl by Diggy Graves. It's going to be a fun one. It's so goofy that those two are going next to each other. And then I like Russ's Nasty. I feel like that's a big one everyone's listening to, but the extended one. Nasty Extended. Yes.
Who's that by?
Russ.
Russ.
Okay.
I'm a big TikTok listener. Like, I feel like usually like the top 5 songs on my Spotify are something that I just heard for a second on TikTok, and then I go listen to it. So I've been listening to a lot of TikTok kids.
I saw a playlist last night, actually. I was looking through some playlists, and they have Spotify has a playlist for just, like, the popular songs on
for
TikTok.
just TikTok viral. Yeah. Yeah. I like those too, because half the times you don't know if you're seeing a video late, you know, or if it's already out, or if it's just for pre-order.
Yeah.
So I do like those playlists too, because I feel like I run into a lot of songs that I already knew that I didn't know that I knew, kind of thing. Because again, we're just consuming in little 5-second
Right.
spurts.
This is good for me, too, because when I add it to a playlist, it throws it in my library.
Mhm.
So then throughout the week, I'll go back and listen to it. and
Diggy
I'll-
Graves is interesting. He's kind of like a Corpse. So it's like I don't even know if you've listened to Corpse, but he's very similar to that. Kat is like R&B soul. Like, she does really cool stuff. And then Russ is obviously R&B stuff. But yeah, good luck with those 3.
Jagger, what do you got for us?
Okay, so my first one's gonna be One Time Thing by Treaty Oak Revival.
Okay.
They
Big Trio guy.
yeah, always, dude, always. I've really been listening to that song here lately. It's just really catchy.
What we do when I'll try to listen to, like, I've been listening to your music all week, trying to, like, you know, get in the right headspace. And then after we do the episode and it comes out, then I'll be like on a kick for like 2 weeks listening to the artists that we've had on. Next one.
So I'm gonna put another Mike in the Moon Pie song.
Okay.
I know I did last week. You Look Good in Neon. I know it's their #1 song, but it's good.
Mike and the Moon Pies. Okay.
Okay. One more. Me being unprepared, I didn't have my 3rd one ready.
Yeah, I can't believe you guys got to look.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you
Too many
can look, too.
Christmas. I don't even know
Yeah,
where
I
my phone's
know.
at. I couldn't even tell you.
let's just go Please Don't Go by White Flores.
It's very funny.
Okay. I'm going to go right through here, what I've added recently. And shout out to Jeff for this song. Because he had me play it. Strokin', Clarence Carter.
Oh, come on.
So that's gonna switch up what I normally add on there.
I always see dudes do that. It's like the #1 karaoke older man song in Nashville.
And then I'm gonna throw on Dig a Little Deeper, Billy Strings. You've got me on that album now.
Yeah. I added a Billy Strings song 2 weeks ago, and he put the same song on last week, and then he's still on the same album.
And then I'm going to throw on Get Out of My Car, Toby Keith. But it'll take a little. He gets me on all, like, sometimes he'll throw on like a really like hard rock song, or sometimes it's like bluegrass.
I just like throwing them, just random things.
I like it.
So my final question before we wrap things up here, you were on the Bobby Bones show.
Mm-hmm.
What's better, the Guitars Cowboys Nibbling Music podcast, or the Bobby Bones show?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, neither of you two or Bobby Bones is coming to the show tonight, so I think you both suck. Equally.
Yet to be determined.
You're right. Okay, so I'm buying him a ticket, and I'll buy you a ticket.
Exactly.
And if you both come, then that will be my answer, but we will leave it undetermined for now.
Perfect.
There you go.
I'll take it. Yeah.
So you guys will know if you guys see show posts later which one's the better one.
Well, Allie, we thank you for coming on.
Thank
we do
you,
appreciate
guys.
it.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
like I said, make sure you check out all of her stuff in the description below, and check out her new single coming out May 19th.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Cue us out, Red.